What's up, everybody? Welcome back. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Callie. This is my channel. I am back with another reaction video. Today on the docket, we got Alan Jones and his opinions on, which, I'll be honest. I'll be really honest. The only reason why I'm doing a reaction video for this is, one, someone sent it to me. Two, I am intrigued by what he has to say. I will say that much. I am definitely intrigued by what he has to say because it's not a common perspective. So I'm going to play the video. I may stop it here and there, but let's see what he has to say about Greta Thunberg, which if you guys go back into my videos, I did a video, okay, on Greta Thunberg, which basically... Come on, you guys. Let's be honest, right? She has publicists writing all of her stuff. Like, that girl is out there with their own agenda for what? We'll see.
Now, look, whether you're a tennis fan or not, the decision by the Japanese tennis sensation, and she is that with a magnificent all-court game, Naomi Osaka, to withdraw from the French Tennis Championships ought to be a wake-up moment for the world. She has said that she'd suffered long bouts of depression since 2018. She's an introverted young lady. She's shy. She gets huge waves of anxiety before she speaks to the world's media. It's also clear that she's been indoctrinated into all these so-called fashionable protest causes, including Black Lives Matter, climate change, and the rest of it. Okay. Naomi Osaka is rich, a status not enjoyed by an increasing number of young people facing the same mental anguish. We have learnt that vulnerable students have fallen through the cracks over coronavirus. We've been told that schools don't have a proper review process to prevent a frightening term, suicide clusters. Young people are constantly comparing themselves to others on social media and suffering mental health problems as a result. Now another lockdown in Victoria, orchestrated by an ignorant and uncaring government who've ignored the statistics that teenage suicides surged during last year's lockdowns. Mental health experts, ignored by government, have warned of the devastating effect that lockdowns have had on young people. Those experts are ignored. How has this crisis accelerated to this point? Well, I'll give you two blunt answers. The first is an appalling absence of political leadership. I'll come to that in a moment. But young people have been...
Wow. Okay, so first on that, most of our political leaders are upwards of, they're 50, 60, 70, 80. We have people running our government who were born in 1940. Now, I have no problem with all the generations. I have no problem with different generations, young, old, whatever. But it just seems that how can people born in 1940 be making decisions for us here in 2021 in our future generations? That's a question. How is that even possible? Some other things he mentioned, I don't even know where to begin, you guys. I may have to make a whole video on... I'm not even going to get into it. I'm just going to play the video.
Funded by uninformed, disinformed, illiterate, and often innumerate protest leaders, urging young people to march for causes they don't understand, based on arguments that can't be proven and trading on fear which is destructive. I've argued for some time about the crisis in Western political leadership. Why have leaders in the Western world given international exposure to the uninformed and disinformed utterances of Greta Thunberg? She's now 18. She calls herself an environmental activist. She started at 15 raving, and that's the appropriate word, about climate change mitigation. She's never been challenged on the rubbish she utters. But the publicity she gets leads young people to believe her. And paroxysms of fear and hopelessness overwhelm these young people because no political leader stands their ground to dismantle this emotional, ill-informed rubbish. Now,
with that said, you got to think about how impressionable these age groups are. So impressionable. They don't know. They're new to the world. They're young, they haven't been here. Of course, there's the plus side or the downside. There's a lot of downside, a lot of chaos, a lot going on, but there's a lot of good things happening, a lot of beautiful things taking place. And something I've realized within my, even last week doing different research online is that nobody's talking about what's beautiful taking place. No one is talking about what is amazing that's happening. Everybody is talking about the doom and gloom and the chaos and the horror. That's all that is up for discussion. That's all that is shared. That's what we thrive on, because it's probably because we've eliminated all natural selection, right? Most natural selection that we would have to deal with, what our ancestors had to deal with, is gone, eliminated. Maybe we're a little bored in our life, so we turn to horror on the TV and whatever drama we can start just for a surge of emotional energy.
Listen to this. At the United Nations Climate Action Summit in New York in 2019. Now, 2019 is significant. 2 years ago, and this dishonest, alarmist rubbish is now seeing its manifestation in massive emotional and psychological instability in our young people. Just watch this teenager talking to big-time political and business leaders. It's a farce, a sickening farce. She goes on, "How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. People are suffering, people are dying, entire ecosystems are collapsing. We're at the beginning of a mass extinction."
Which, if people don't know who Greta Thunberg is, you guys need to look into her and her parents. Her childhood was a lot better than over 90% of the children living on Earth, okay? Her childhood. She's in her, 15, 16 now? She's coming into her adulthood.
Fairy tale of eternal economic growth. The young people are starting to understand your betrayal. It's disgraceful enough that this stuff is given international recognition, but she's a celebrity, a 16-year-old, for God's sake. What's worse is that political leaders have given this rubbish a forum in which it's belched out to the rest of the world unchallenged. Listen to this girl at the United Nations Climate Action Summit in 2019 and wonder why 16-year-olds wouldn't feel their life wasn't worth living. Here she is.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. And yet I'm one of the lucky ones.
She's a good actress. Okay, but I don't know about you. I definitely ain't looking at no 15-year-old for hope. I got questions. I need answers. You will not find me asking my nieces, "Hey, how do we solve this issue?" Hell, you won't see me asking them. So if, in fact, all right, she's had to been the poster child for hope in her life, I would be looking at her parents. Why would they do this to their child? You know, why would they put this type of responsibility on their child? Why is this not a discussion among adults? That's my question. Why are they using a 15-year-old to put out this information to children who are already depressed? Why are they depressed? He discussed it in the very beginning, but it wasn't very talked about. Naomi, right? She's talking about her mental challenges she's having with depression, anxiety, things like that. But people don't understand when you spend all day on a cell phone looking at a world that is completely not existent in your realm. You know, you're looking at people's lives who you don't have. You're not living their lives. You're living your life, and your life is unique to you. You know, but everyone is looking at somebody else, wishing that's what they had. Stuck on the phone. When the phone drains all your energy, you come back to this world and nothing's ever going to be good enough. So of course you're going to get depressed. They're not going outside. I'm outside every single day. You know how many kids I see outside? Sure, when I go to the park, the little children are there. The very little children who are usually too young, you know, to be stuck on a phone, stuck in social media. But there's no older kids, and all the kids and even the parents there stuck on their phone. It's amazing to me how, you know, I mean, you got mothers, people taking their children to these parks and being on their phone the whole time, not even watching these kids. It's insane. It's insane to me. But anyway, I digress.
People are suffering. People are dying.
People have always been suffering and people have always been dying, for one, okay? It's not new. It's not new. It was way worse. It's actually getting better.
Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money.
And that's ridiculous to me. Extinction, what is she talking about? You guys know how many people are on Earth? If we don't do something about the population, we'll all be starving in 15 years. Not because of climate change, though.
Fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?
Can you believe that?
What he's about to say, I would say, is a little offensive. But some things need to be said. I'll say that.
Following that outburst, I delivered a response on this television station. Only recently has it been unearthed again. I understand it's gone viral on social media. I hope so, because someone's got to stand up to this stuff before more damage is done and more lives are lost. This is what I said then. To all the school kids going on strike for climate change, you're the first generation who've required air conditioning in every classroom. You want TV in every room, and your classes are all computerised. You spend all day and night on electronic devices. More than ever, you don't walk or ride bikes to school, but you arrive in caravans of private cars that choke suburban roads and worsen rush hour traffic. You're the biggest consumers of manufactured goods ever, and update perfectly good, expensive luxury items to stay trendy. Your entertainment comes from electric devices. Furthermore, the people driving your protests are the same people who insist on artificially inflating the population growth through immigration, which increases the need for energy, manufacturing and transport. The more people we have, the more forest and bushland we clear. The more of the environment that's destroyed. How about this? Tell your teachers to switch off the aircon. Walk or ride to school. Switch off your devices and read a book. Make a sandwich instead of buying manufactured fast food. No, none of this will happen. Because, the piece says, you're selfish, badly educated, virtue-signalling little turds inspired by the adults around you who crave a feeling of having a noble cause while they indulge themselves in Western luxury and unprecedented quality of life.
Yes, that's true. You know, we have a very luxurious way of living here in the West, and it is the cause of a lot. Now, what he just said, all of that, shaming, name calling, I would never say that. That's not cool. Not cool, Ellen Jones, to talk like that. But I understand it's the way of his generation. You know, shaming was the way. Shaming was the way we made people be different. Now, some things I want to bring up. Children this age are complete emotional reactors, okay? They go off emotional. They're not selfish. They're just learning about self, right? Now, whose fault because we can't sit there and put the blame on the 15-year-old people, the young children who have just been here. So I'm going to take this a different way, okay? Where does the blame lie? Who are the people who are giving in to every whim of a child who has no idea what's good for it? The parents, us, it's us. We have to be the ones to say no. We have to be the ones to set boundaries. We have to be the ones to say, you know what? Let's turn off the air conditioning. Go outside. Go play. Put the sprinkler. I mean, there's tons of things you can do. Take away the phone for a minute. You know why they won't? You know why they won't? It's because it is convenient. Those phones are practically babysitters, okay? I'll tell you how much time goes into a kid getting lost in the phone, and a kid will spend all day on the phone. You get all day to yourself doing whatever you want. So it goes deeper. You can't blame the children. You can't put it on them. All right, they're reacting to what's going on. The way the world is because of us and our inaction and our allowance of these things. And speaking of climate change and Greta Thunberg's rant, right? She's blaming the people, but what about the corporations? You think the people's contribution to climate change is more than the actual corporations who put billions and billions of dollars into destroying things in every single way possible but the hands go back into the consumer to give you what you want. It's a game that we're playing. When is it going to end? We're all at fault. We can't point fingers. Pointing fingers is just getting away from the solution because someone else is at fault. Pointing our fingers, we don't see how it's really us contributing to all this chaos and BS. There's a lot going on. Trauma-induced mind control. Using trauma to program the minds. That is not us, right? That is being done to us. We are definitely, most people are victims of this trauma-induced mind control. But there comes a point where we have to stop being lost in the victim mentality and put ourselves back in a position of power, all right? It's not money that is the power. It's you. It's me. It's us. We are the power. And once we realize that, then we can start to make change. But when we're pointing the fingers, blaming other people, going on this cause, none of us are getting to the issue or the solution or the root of the problem. It's just a game of whodunit right now, but no real solution.
Saying, wake up, grow up, and shut up.
Now that was rude. Wake up, grow up. That was rude. I don't agree with how he talks here because I think our children are the future and how we treat them is very important. But we cannot just give in to every whim of a child because they don't know what's best for them. That was rude, right, Alan
Naomi
Jones?
Osaka is but the latest victim of mental illness and indoctrination into the mass protest movements based on untruths. We're damaging our young people with dishonesty. Consider this. There were 89 suicide attempts on school grounds across New South Wales in 2019, 215 incidents of self-harm, 196 reports of students with suicidal intentions. And many experts are saying this is the tip of the iceberg and the problem won't go away. There are so many factors at work here. Social media, which can say whatever it likes about any other person. Kids live off this stuff and are made to feel unworthy. Thunberg's telling them they've got no hope.
Yeah.
People are suffering, people are dying, entire ecosystems are collapsing. We're at the beginning of a mass extinction. So she whines. It's disgraceful that this goes unchallenged by people who call themselves leaders. Young people are privately...
I agree. And the fact that she didn't even write her own stuff, and that is truth that has come out, that she is being used for a political agenda. And what's worse, affecting our young children.
Terrified and wonder where they belong. The system's broken and badly broken. And only by admitting that can we seek solutions. Stop preaching alarmism and teach our children that if our young people looked at the facts rather than the propaganda that they're fed, they'd learn that a child born today will have more opportunities and enjoy a safer future than at any time in human history.
That's fact.
That child in the classroom will be blessed with a longer life expectancy than at any time in history.
That's fact.
That child in the classroom is entering a world where poverty, health and freedom are at an infinitely better level than at any time in human history.
That's fact.
That child will find the availability of food better than at any time in human history. Will be safer from extreme weather than ever before in human history. Last year, deaths from extreme weather were the lowest ever recorded. That child will enter a world where he or she will enjoy more leisure time than at any time in human history.
More leisure time
and a greater slice of their life is available to enjoy things like...
Which, as humans, meant to be active when we do nothing, that takes effect on our mental health.
Music and the arts, due to improved nutrition and living standards. That child in the classroom, music and the arts, due to more leisure time than at any time in human history. And a greater slice of their life is available to enjoy things like music and the arts due to improved nutrition and living standards. That child in the classroom is unlikely to ever take up arms in defence of a nation, never have to climb into a trench or out of one, never have to storm a beach under machine gun fire. Surely it's time to give these children a diet of positivity and hope rather than alarmism and despair.
I agree.
Banish the Greta Thunbergs. The adults of today are the fearmongers. Our children are the victims. Naomi Osaka is the latest high-profile victim. But our children are taught Greta Thunberg in the classroom. She's not saving anything, let alone the planet, but she and those who condone her alarmist nonsense are tragically destroying young people.
Now, man, what he said in the last got me, and I'll tell you why. Put yourself in his shoes. What was his generation going through? Oh, what's going on? I don't want to watch no Gaia. No Gaia for me. Okay.
Have you ever wondered what would happen?
Put yourself in this man's shoes, for one. Just we're talking on a generational thing here. What was going on when he was young? War, famine, kids, 17, 18-year-old boys being sent off, women left alone with the children, which is what left them into this whole new wave of feminism. Because when all the men went off to war, what happened with the big corporations? Well, we got no one to push our buttons. Let's manipulate the women into becoming career women. Forget about the family home. You guys are now powerful career women, right? So they realized that you didn't need a man to necessarily work a factory. Anyone could do it. And now women could do it. So while the men were away at war, the women went to the factories and started working. And who was taking care of the children? The government. Who was warping the mind of the children? The government. Who is still warping the mind of the children? The government. And when I say government, I'm not saying that which governs the people. I'm saying that which controls all things, okay? And we should know, of course, we all have different ideas about who that force is, what that force is. But we all know that there is a complete and utter single-handed power that makes the decision for everybody, okay? But the thing about it is true what he said. We are far better off than what we were back then. Far better off. Sure, we have more time on our hands to talk about all this terrible and chaos, but isn't it time we give the children some hope? Isn't the time we talk about what's beautiful? God, aren't you guys sick of just the misery over and over and over again? All it is misery. And sometimes there's not even a warrant for it. Everything in your reality could be going perfectly fine, but you're still miserable because everything you see when you pick up the phone, turn on the TV is just horror, alarmism, just this is bad, this is terrible, this is worse. You know, it's a war on the mind now, and it always has been. And instead of us doing things, they continue to separate us based on what? Ideologies, race, color. This whole race thing is, I don't even know what to say about it, to be completely honest with you guys. I'm confused. Biden yesterday said that, white supremacists is the new threat to everything. And I don't know when it was new, but we have to understand that this is a group of people who want to stay in power. This is not the mass majority of people, and I understand some real terrible things happened in the past, but it was not the mass majority of people who took place in that. It was wealthy, elite people who still today, their children still today. And so I don't know why it should be white against black instead of those who are pushed to the bottom while the others ride to the top. And that is not a black and white thing. And you got to go really back to history. History, man, you got to know the story of history to understand anything that is going on now. And it's a lot. And it's just, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? When do we start looking at the facts? I mean, I'm looking outside. It's pretty quiet. It's pretty safe. Now, I do live in a pretty quiet area compared to the rest of the world. But I think my perspective is probably a little sheltered in that aspect because I don't know what people go through living in the city, you know, but it's not necessarily white people who created that systematic oppression, you know. It wasn't white people. Sure, it was some white people, but it's all white people. This whole white, I don't know, you guys. I'm sitting here thinking, like, what is a white person? Who is a white person? You know? What is a black person? Who are the black people? Why are we going by these colors instead of who we are, who our ancestors were, our root origins, right? And listen, there's been some white nationalists lately who have been talking about everybody needs to go back, but do they then realize we would be going back, right? I have ancestors all over the world, okay? My bloodline, my heritage is from everywhere, okay? But if we're looking at it from that, if you guys are going to call me what I am by the color of my skin, by the pigment, by the lack of pigmentation, okay, I would be going back to Europe, right? Which, to me, whatever makes people happy, I guess, you know? I don't know. Either way, you guys, that's it for me today. I'm going to end this here. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about Alan Jones. He's being watched among many. He's, you know, a lot of people are tuning in. He's becoming viral for what he's saying, right? I definitely would not take up his way of shaming the younger generation, but looking at from his perspective, I'm sure he looks at the younger generation like a bunch of brats, rightfully so, you know, spoiled in the sense of we're talking the majority have it much easier than what kids his age were going through back when he was a child. So looking at it like that, yeah, but I definitely wouldn't say shaming is the way. We need to take more, you know, accountability for the parents, for us who make the decisions for the children. You know, let's stop letting emotionally reactive children run our life. And that goes for me. I have a 2-year-old right now emotionally reacting me to do things. So it's not easy. I understand that. But that's when we got to decide, you know, what's best for the future. And the future isn't best if we have a bunch of people, you know, spoiled, used to getting anything they want at the cost of what? So that's all I'm going to say. I'll talk to you guys next time. Enjoy your day, everybody.